Brian.
And I'm Logan. And we're Crush Cards. Welcome. So if you haven't noticed already, we're in a different house, on a different couch, in a different state. We're in Ohio. We're visiting my family and my grandparents and hanging out. Not only that, but we have a regional coming up this Saturday in Columbus, which is also in Ohio. So if you're gonna be there, come say hi. We'll be there in B Square. We've also been getting a lot of feedback, questions, and comments lately from all of you about how to prepare for regionals and how to get ready for all of these events and what to do and how to get ready. And so we're gonna do that today for you.
So in preparing to come down here for a week, we actually brought a lot of our cards and stuff to get ready for the event also. So we just figured that we would walk you guys through how we get ready for an event and how we go through stuff, what we analyze, what we decide to bring, and just kind of things that we use to prepare ourselves and be a little bit more organized and ready for the event before we get there. So figured we'd just walk through it with you guys.
And this isn't just for competitive players. This can be for the more casual players who are still getting into the competitive scene.
Like us.
Yeah, like us. We're still really new. And we want to just understand the steps that it takes to prepare and how to really go about it, because it's a really complicated process and we want to walk you guys through it and all do it together and understand this crazy little game called Yu-Gi-Oh.
Sweet.
Let's do it! Go!
So the first thing that you need to know when it comes to going to any event is what deck you're going to play. And not only what deck are you going to play, but how well do you realistically know that deck. A lot of people will net deck things and they'll go online and they'll test out a couple decks for just a day or so, and then they'll decide to take it to an event. And while that's good, and while the deck is an amazing deck, sometimes it's not the deck itself that wins, but it's your experience and your ability to play the deck well that'll actually get you to the top tables. So in order to do that, one of the things that's really beneficial is knowing the strengths and the weaknesses of your deck. So right here, for an example, we have our Crusadia Guard Dragon deck. This isn't something you guys have seen on the channel yet, however, it's something we've been working on for at least a couple weeks now. If you guys do want to see this deck profile and some of it in action, feel free to comment down below and let us know if you'd like to see it in the future. So one of the strengths of this deck is that it's really strong going first, right? It does your stereotypical Crusadia Guard Dragon plays where it does all of its dragon stuff, searches the Kyoto waterfront, and then goes into your Gamma Seal and sets up infinite negations. However, one of the weaknesses of the deck is when it goes second, the Guard Dragon aspect of the deck is not very strong. You can still do your Crusadia plays, but you need to know how to play around the Guard Dragon aspect in order to still make the deck function well going second, trying to break boards and still OTKing your opponent. So basically, you just need to know your deck really well. You need to know it inside and out so that you know all of its interactions with not only itself, but how it's going to interact with other decks. Now, there's certain things that you can do to help those interactions, and that comes to your side deck.
So one of the main reasons why you want to know the strengths and weaknesses of your deck so well is because for games 2 and 3, you're going to have to side. And depending on how well you're doing, whether you're doing great or whether you're doing not so great, you're going to have to side in cards and side out cards based on how you want to play the next game. Now, it's not always an easy decision to decide what to side, so we're going to walk you through what we would side for this Crusadia Guard Dragon deck, but take into account with any deck what you would do. So going second, let's say you were going second with this deck and you had to deal with breaking boards. So for this, you would side in some Interrupted Kaiju Slumbers, a couple Kaijus, and Crusadia Revival. Now these cards are going to be great again for OTKing your opponent, breaking their board, and still being able to go into your combo and get the Guard Dragons off while still going second, because this deck really struggles with it, and you're going to need to have a way to be able to do that without sacrificing too much of your cards in your main deck. Now this deck and many others don't main back row hate, so you're going to want to side heavily for it because the situation will come up because rogue decks usually tend to rely on back row, and if you're playing Paleo, if you're playing against Geist, if you're playing against Pen, there's a lot of back row decks out there, so you're going to want to be ready. And these cards are great going first or second if you see them. Again, life points don't matter, so don't worry about activating from your hand and paying, because if you can shut them off and get them from not playing a single card, do it. You don't want them to play, you want to win. So in this case, you want to side to win.
Red Reboot is really good because if you can stop a trap deck from playing traps for an entire turn, this specific deck has absolutely no problem OTKing. So this card will shut them off and a guarantee you a win, and then this just deals with more problematic things like floodgates that you might have to deal with. Speaking of floodgates,
wow, we have our last 3-sided cards, and it's There Can Be Only One. Now, we hate this card. We absolutely cannot stand it. But you know what? Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do because you also need to win. And if you want to get to top tables, you gotta start doing stuff that you don't want to do. Morals and Yu-Gi-Oh! Sometimes they don't go together, so here's what we have to do. Luckily, this deck doesn't play one single type, it plays a lot of types, and a lot of decks right now play one single type, like, oh, I don't know, Thunder, Paleo, Pendulum, pretty much a lot of big decks and rogue decks right now play one type. And a Geist is all spellcasters. Like, come on, you can play this card and basically blow out your opponent and they can't play, which, you know, sucks, and we don't like saying that. But you gotta win, you gotta win.
It's also really crucial to take into consideration going first and going second. So a lot of your matches, when you go into games 2 and 3, you can kind of tell if you're gonna go first or second. So these cards are better going first because you can continue off and do your guard dragon play and it won't hurt you. Set this, and then when your opponent summons one monster and you know that it's gonna hurt them, you can flip this on their turn, and then it doesn't matter because you already got your entire play off, and this just continually hinders them. This is really good for going first, and then the kaiju stuff is really good for going second and trying to break boards. So just keep into consideration what your deck does and what its strengths and weaknesses are, so when you go first and when you go second, you always have options.
Yeah, and again, you don't want to just play to help your deck, you want to play to stop their deck. It's not just a one-sided game, it takes two to tango, so when you're siding, make sure that you're still able to do what you need to do with your deck while also stopping them. It's a two-way street.
Not only is it really important to know what your deck does and what your deck doesn't do well, but it's also really important to know the current meta. So for right now, it's the first week in January 2020, and we haven't gotten the official ban list yet. So the current meta is Orcus, Thunder Dragon, Salamangreat, maybe a little bit of Sky Striker, and a lot of Rogue running around. So when we look at this side deck, it's really important to know, once again, what your deck does, but what other decks do and how your deck can interact with them. Let's look at Orcus, the first deck on the list, probably the biggest meta deck right now. There can be only one is probably one of the better sides going first, or maybe even second, depending on how you play out your cards, because they're all machines. So if you can lock them into one machine type monster, they can't really go off. Or then even Red Reboot if you know that they're going to go into the Crescendo play, or if they're going to go first and opt to play the Babel play, Cosmic Cycle can just deal with that Babel, get rid of it, and they can't recur. So it's really strong to side in one of these three sets, if not two sets, just to make sure that all your bases are covered for that matchup. Another meta deck right now is Salamangreat. Salamangreat recurs a lot of their traps, so Red Reboot is a really good option. There can be only one going first, also does the same thing to them that it does to Orcus. They all play Cybers monsters, so if you can shut them out and just continue to lock them into one monster, you can go in and OTK them on your second turn with absolutely no problem. Whereas Thunder Dragons, they don't main any way to actually stop back row, so if you side in the Kaiju Slumbers and then your Crusadia Revival to guarantee an OTK, you can clear their board with one card and then just go in and kill them. It's a free and an easy win. And then once again, for other rogue decks like Sky Strikers, True Draco, Guru Control, or Altergeist, we have a lot of back row for that. So these 6 cards are always going to come in clutch for you. Something else that's really important, I mean, these clearly have cards in them because we were unprepared and this is not a deck that we're going to bring, but it's really critical to have, you know, extra sleeves just in case you get cold.
Just bring extra sleeves, guys. You never know what's going to happen to your deck, and you don't want to have to buy more. Keep them in your backpack. Keep them wherever you need to keep them, because you know what? Emergencies happen. Stress happens. Just bring extras of things that you could possibly need. Again, precaution, precaution, precaution for someone who's paranoid like me. Just take the high road. Wow, look at all this shiny cardboard you've paid for. You paid a lot of money for all this shiny cardboard, so you should probably keep it safe, right?
Yep.
So, golly, what do we put it in? Tell me.
Our little deck box. Handy
Wow.
dandy deck box.
You can put all your little gadgets and gizmos in here, and you can keep your deck safe and warm and cozy while it waits in your backpack for you to use it. So, cool things, you can put your dice in this. And then you can put your deck in a nice organized manner that we're going to show you.
These are just your standard generic top loaders that we have cut to fit into this, but I mean, you can get dividers too, but I just prefer this because if you do this, you can put your deck this way, and then I put a sleeve in here, and you literally can just put your side deck facing the sleeve so that your opponent can't see what you're playing, and then you just put another one in here. So
wow,
it functions as this like little
Look
organized compartment.
Like a file cabinet, but better.
Yeah, exactly. And then your dice section literally just clips on the top, on the bottom.
That's a 3-in-1, and then oh my goodness, you get a top. It's
And now
almost
it's
like it's
protected.
a whole box. Yeah. It's protected. You can drop this bad boy. We don't recommend it, but if you do, don't worry. Your deck's going to be safe and your cards aren't going to get bent, and you're going to have a good time because you're winning, right? Yeah.
That's why we like these deck boxes too, because we've dropped them quite a few times, and even though the bottom does pop out and you may have to go chase some die around, your cards are totally safe. So these deck boxes are something that we really recommend, especially for tournaments. And the reason that we like these, we have some other deck boxes that carry multiple decks in them. However, something that is really important to note and really important for everyone to take into consideration when it comes to going to an event is that when you fill out your deck list, you're not allowed to have any other cards in your deck box except for cards that are listed on your deck list. So say for this, right, if we're siding 2 kaijus, but I decide, you know, maybe I wanted to have a third one available just in case I wanted to change it up, or I didn't know what I was gonna do with it and I just forgot about it. If you get deck checked, even though you didn't write that on your deck list, if that card is in your deck box, you will get a game loss for that. So that is really important stuff to know. So make sure that when you pack your deck box and everything is ready to go, you only have cards on your deck list.
Be responsible, folks. Wowee! And speaking of deck lists,
Whew.
wow, look, it's your deck list. This seems kind of redundant, but make sure you fill out your deck list beforehand. I know it seems more convenient to like just wait until you get to the event and then just go there and fill it out when it's there in front of you. Yeah, don't do that, because if you get there late and you have to sit there filling out all of this, you could have the chance to not register, and then you're sitting there all day for 10 hours because you just spent all this time getting there and now you're stuck there and you can't even play. Speaking from experience, you don't want to do this. And then on top of filling things out early, look, they even have registration forms online. You can also look these up really easy. Just look up Yu-Gi-Oh! Registration form and those will come right up. They come in 3s, so you can do a whole bunch of them so you don't have to deal with it later. You can stick them all in a folder together and you're ready to go. It's all about being prepared, okay? You don't want to sit in lines. You don't want to wait for things. You don't want to deal with all that. You want to get ready as soon as you can because you want to play and you want to win. So just do it beforehand, all right? Take our word for it. We know what we're talking about. Kind of.
Once again, seems a little redundant, but when it comes to life points, you're always going to want to keep track of it with pen and paper. And then of course, if you're like me, you're gonna need a calculator because math is not my strong suit. But if you have something like this, right, we just have this little notepad, it allows you to show your life points. So if there's ever a discrepancy and you have to call a judge over, if your opponent and you don't really have the same life points, you can keep track and you can show the judge and show your opponent what you have, why you have what you have. Like, hey, look, this is where I took 500. This is where I took 1,000. This is why I'm at where I'm at. So if there's any discrepancies, you're able to hold yourself and your opponent accountable, which is something that not a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players take into consideration. So I know this is just a little redundant, but it's definitely a good practice to get in kind of a habit of doing. So it's something that we started doing. It is a little annoying at first because you can just do it electronically on a calculator, but this does help, so definitely recommend it.
And then what would this fabulous fun card game be without your mat? Oh.
Aww.
You're gonna need a mat. Of course, it seems really silly, but sometimes, you know, you don't realize what you need until you don't have it. So we suggest getting a mat. They're super affordable. We haven't ever purchased one. I think it's over like $22. You can find all of them on eBay. To anyone who has ever asked, our mats are from eBay.
Yeah. We don't go to any specific mat custom designer. We literally go on eBay, type in something we think is cute or something that we like, and there it is.
Like for this, I think I typed in like Yu-Gi-Oh! Hand trap mat. Like that's literally it. That's all it takes.
Bam.
And we get them in a couple weeks and they're great and they're awesome. They're great quality and they come with their own little tube to store them in. And if they don't come with a tube for whatever reason, you can always go to your OTS or game store or wherever is convenient for you and you can pick one up. It's really great. Keeps it clean. You don't want your mat to get dirty. You don't want these cute little girls to get a mess. Nuh-uh, no we don't. And if you haven't been to a Yu-Gi-Oh! Event, they're usually 10+ hours. They're absolutely exhausting and they take a lot of life force out of you. So you want to be sure that you're eating and drinking and basically taking care of yourself because there's not always going to be a lunch break. There's not always going to be food nearby or drinks or anything of any convenience. So just to be prepared, make sure you bring some snacks. Wow. And water. I know you're all really tempted to bring energy drinks and all that fun stuff, but please bring water. If you're going to bring anything else, also bring water. Probably don't bring cake like this guy is right now, but you know, if you gotta do what you gotta do to stay alive, do what you need to do. Maybe bring some granola bars, maybe bring some fruit snacks, I don't know, whatever floats your boat, whatever keeps you happy and functioning throughout the day, because frankly, I don't want you guys getting dehydrated. I don't want you guys starving all day. I want you guys to have fun. I want you to win. I want you to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And I want you to be your best selves when you play.
Once again, super standard, but you're going to be playing for about 9 to 10 hours.
Look at Ghost Ogre. Look at her. She's like, oh, hello. Thank you. Hello.
But you want to bring a phone charge. You want to make sure that you're able to get in contact with whomever, whether it's your ride, whether it's your friends, whether you guys drove together, or you just need to get in contact with maybe it's your Airbnb or something like that. You need to do that by having a phone, and you can't do that if your phone is dead. So make sure you have a phone charger. We're lucky enough to have a brand new backpack that has a phone charger in it, which is kind of another thing that we want to talk about. While you have your deck box and your calculator and your pen, your paper, your mat, all that other stuff, have something to carry it with. A backpack is probably nice, you know, it's always going to be secure, it's always on you, you can always just tuck it under your chair while you're playing, and it just keeps everything organized, which is something that we're huge advocates of.
We know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but you should really try and get in the habit of keeping organized because it'll help you keep track of your stuff, keep track of your sanity, and keep track of your overall life and existence while you're at these events, because you've already got so much going on. Your mind's going 1,000 different directions trying to figure out how to play, how to side, how to do everything. You don't need to be worrying about where your stuff is and panicking in the meantime because it's very stressful and we know what it feels like. So stay organized and you'll eliminate one thing to worry about. Right, Tops? Yes. So this is what we bring, and among other things like our backpack and stuff, but these are the items that are going in and coming along no matter what happens. So I hope this was helpful for you guys, and our snack is gone apparently, so you might want to pack some more snacks there because it seems that the snack goblin got a hold of it.
Wow! Wasn't that just super helpful?
So we realized that everyone has their own individual way of getting ready for events, but we just kind of wanted to walk you guys through our way of doing things, and just what we look for, what we prepare for, and the things that we decide to bring. So we hope that this video was relatively helpful, and if you guys do anything else or if you guys need anything else, let us know.
And we know that everyone prepares for events differently, so feel free to comment and let us know how you prepare for regionals or even just events, or how you side and how you know what you're going to do, because we want to know.
Helps us too.
Yeah. If you want to see more videos about how we do resourcing and stuff for events, let us know for that also, because we want to help in any way we can.
Yeah.
And we want you guys to build together and grow together with us, because we're still learning this game too. But anyway, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like this video and you want to see more of this goofy stuff that we do on a different couch.
Yeah. And if you guys want to follow any of our journeys while we go to regionals or any other events, check us out on Instagram. We post a lot of stuff on there, a lot of stories, a lot of posts. So it's at CrushCardsYGO. It'll be in the link in the description box down below.
I love you guys. You're amazing. Thanks for hanging out. I love
That's
you.
my line.
Too bad. You matter.